welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the iHeartRadio network, and the iHeartMedia is the #1 media company in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the world and actually in the universe, Big C, according to Big C and his good old boys down south. Even the good old boys from the black hole. I don't know if I want to sit there again, Big C, but they have a lot of fun over there, that's for sure. Also, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America. Thank you for following Charlton and Big C Sports. Today is November 30, 2016. I also want to say thank you for you good old boys across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France, and of course the great country of Canada. And I knocked that out, Big C. No one can complain about that one right there, okay? And also, of course, the good old boys from the land of the free and the home of the brave. But I want to know, how's it going for you good old boys down south? I know you're getting ready for the SEC championship game, Big C. How's it going for you good old boys?
Well, Charlton, you love me. You know, I'm thinking about you being in the black hole. You know, with all those guys wearing makeup, they need to go out there for Fox Sports and
yeah, that's
because
funny.
they always worry about men wearing that kind of makeup. But down here in the South, Charlton, it's wonderful. You know, we're getting ready for the SEC championship. I showed up in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Getting ready for the Florida-Alabama game. Charlton, going to be a big weekend here. You know, we got the College Football Hall of Fame here in the city of Atlanta. It's a gorgeous facility. Anybody that ever comes to the South, it's a must-see event going into the College Football Hall of Fame.
Oh, that's in Atlanta, Big C. That's in Atlanta?
That's in Atlanta, Charlton. They built it a couple of years ago, from what I hear. You know, and when you look at the two teams that are coming, Florida, you know, coming in, they won their division in the SEC. All their equipment and everything arrived today. They're setting up, getting ready to have practice tomorrow. You know, the players are all gun-ho, but you know, this is almost like a foregone conclusion. Regardless of what happens in this game, Charlton, Alabama is going to be in the college football playoffs, period. Well, that was penciled in after the team with that white horse got gold up and down.
You talk about the Trojan horse? That was way back in week 1, Big C. And you know, if someone gave you moonshine, you'd have a hard time playing Alabama too, Big C.
Well, Charlton, I didn't know if they were the Trojans or the Pink Ponies. You know?
That's so funny, Big C. I know sometimes when you look at the world of college football, and in the NFL is exciting too, and we love the fact that in the NFL you get to play your way into the playoffs and into the Super Bowl. In college football, just want to get your thoughts, because a lot of the people out here on the West Coast, they think that was an SEC bias. Now, we know the Big Ten has a lot of arguments this year about who has the best football, at least this year, with Ohio State and Michigan being up there at the top nearly for the whole season. And then you look at Penn State, which beat Ohio State by a fluke, and Wisconsin, they lost their 2 biggest games against Ohio State and Michigan. So I don't know how they can make an argument for getting in there, Big C. But do you perceive, being down in the SEC and get ready for that game, do they perceive that they also have a favoritism? Other people call it a bias. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I don't know if you can call Alabama a bias, Charlton. They just running by everybody is what they've done all year long, really, for the last 2 years. Yeah. You have to really look, you know, you want to talk about bias, you have to look at the Big 10, whatever, the Big 13.
Big 19, Big 17, something like that.
They got a lot of schools up there.
Math has never been their favorite subject, okay, Big C?
but when you look at it, Charlton, when you have Michigan and Wisconsin ranked number 5 and number 6. Now that's odd, Charlton, when you think about it. You got two lost teams sitting at 5 and 6 out of the same conference. Yeah. Out of the same conference. But yet the 2 teams that are playing for the conference championship, neither one of them are ranked that high, Charlton, when you think about it. No. And you know, in an ironic twist of fate, just it's some wild hair gets up, and I know what you got to do with wild hair.
That's funny.
You know, this if Clemson lost, okay, they would be a 2-loss team. Yeah. Say if Washington lost, they would be a 2-loss team. Yeah. Guess what, Charlton? The Big Ten would have 3 teams in the national championship race, because they automatically would slide Michigan up, and they would automatically slide Wisconsin up, Charlton. Yeah. Into those slots. Now, you look around the country and you talk about fairness in college football. We talked about it with the lack of fairness with players, that coaches can do anything they want, make as much money as they want, and leave kids behind with broken promises. this is what you look at this system. This system is very flawed in the way that it's set up. If you think about this, it came out with the ranking, 4 or 5 weeks ago, the initial ranking, Charlton?
Yeah.
You know, they should hold the rankings off, Charlton, until the season is over. The final week of the season going into conference playoffs. If you want to have a true ranking, that's how it should be. Leave everybody in the midst. Although Alabama was already a shooter. You knew they were going to be there. But everybody else would have been on pins and needles. And you talk about a heighten of excitement of people preparing for that. Now, that's where the true nature of setting up a playoff is. Not knowing until you're in. Not sitting there jockeying back and forth. Oh, we got a loss early in the season, so we're right back in position. And we can leapfrog ahead of a team that's undefeated. Now, Charlton, go back to that Michigan when TCU went undefeated for the season, Charlton. 3 years ago, TCU was undefeated and left off the championship bracket. They were not one of the 4 teams to make it, Charlton, but 2 one-loss teams leapfrogged TCU and got into the championship. That's why it's not a fair system. It's a flawed system. And then, you know, that big cry 3 years ago, Charlton, was that TCU wasn't in a conference championship game. The Big 12 didn't have a conference championship game. Okay? Now, I'm not the smartest man in the world, but I heard these 2 schools named Ohio State and Michigan. Are they in a conference championship game?
No, they're not.
Oh, okay, so the committee lied 3 years ago.
Well,
the conference championship game was the most important game.
Well, they always have to have something they call important, Big C. And think of it as important. This segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive it, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. Now, Big C, I think now that you roll up into the city of Atlanta, you had to leave the Escalade back. But did they have mud again? Is it mud anywhere around the tracks outside of that stadium down there in Atlanta, Big C?
There was a copious amount of rain. I got here last night. It was raining cats and dogs. I think I saw a deer fly out of the sky also. I got off the plane trying to say to him, but he was gone.
That's funny,
but, you know, there's a lot of water down here. But, you know, great thing about it, they're playing in the Georgia Dome, Charlton. It's a beautiful facility. And right next door to it, they're building this elaborate new Mercedes-Benz Dome next to the Georgia Dome, which is only about 22 years old. And this is a state-of-the-art building, supposed to be way better than Jerry's World down in Dallas.
Oh, really?
You know, with a retractable roof and all of these things. But, you know, if you got the name Mercedes label to it, Charlton, there has to be some class and character built into a facility.
Yeah, well, when you think about how there's so much money going into these colleges, and we know they have rankings just to make the games more exciting for TV viewers and also radio listeners. And here on iHeartRadio, there's almost everybody's on iHeartRadio now. ESPN, Fox, they've all joined the iHeartRadio network. Big C Sports is on iHeartRadio. But I want to ask you this question, Big C, because of the money that's involved again. And I know I've listened to a lot of prognosticators, and they only talk about what school is going to get in. You know, what school is going to be ranked in the top 4 at the end of the season, because it's all about money. It's not about who the best team is. It's about who's going to have the biggest draw, it seems. If they get Washington, they're going to get the West Coast vote, because that's the only option for a West Coast team to get in there, since Oregon didn't get in. I mean, Oregon was the last team to get in there. Of course, Alabama's going to cover the South. If you get Michigan or Ohio State, of course, Ohio State, they have a huge following from the Midwest. It just makes sense. Clemson's going to cover the South as well, Big C. But when it talks about something that's unspoken of, is the $1 billion that's going to trade hands because of this event, because of all the concessions and airlines and hotels and TV revenue, Big C. Will that ever come into the consciousness of these schools? And as again, we talked about it yesterday, the quarterbacks, and you brought up something about quarterbacks, and whether it's Prescott and some other quarterbacks, the top 3 quarterbacks that are set for the Final Four, they're African American. 3 of the 4 teams, Big C. No money going into the African-American community, or even trying to do anything to uplift the communities where they came from. And I wonder, you're down south where a lot of this talk happens. Is it just about football and who gets the football, not who's going to help these kids, Big C? Your thoughts?
It is, Charlton. It's all about getting your coffers richer in Charlton, and that's what it's all about. You would think that the NCAA would have some parity.
Yeah.
That they would peel off a few of those dollars.
You would think so.
Black colleges. Yeah. That they pilfered years ago after desegregation if they took all of those young black athletes and promised them, hey, come here and play for the white university now. Make us better and you'll become a star. They were already stars at African-American universities, Charlton. When you think about the draft in the 60s and in the 70s, Charlton, the number of players who were first and second round drafted and that are Hall of Famers now in the NFL Hall of Fame, they came out of traditional black colleges because they were not allowed to play in the prestigious so-called white universities, Charlton.
Yeah.
But those programs back in those days, if you think about it, you didn't have these dominant programs of the schools that you have now. Yes, they won, Charlton, but they were not going undefeated. They were not having one-loss season. You think about it, when you had the bowl games on New Year's Day, and that's when all the big bowl games were. There was one game, the Astro Bluebonnet Bowl, Charlton, it was played in Houston in the Astrodome. It was on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
The next day you had 5 big bowl games on New Year's Day that everybody saw. You didn't have 93 bowl games that everybody's getting into. You got to explain to somebody now, Charlton, why you didn't make a bowl game.
Well, see,
it's almost like hockey, why you didn't make playoffs.
And see, Big C, I think as far as this social thing, when you're taking money for the labor of other people, it at least should be talked about and explained. I know we cover all the sports that are going on in the country and in the world, for that matter, from soccer over in Europe. We have, of course, baseball, basketball, football, hockey, boxing, everything, MMA. We talk about the UFC. We talk about golf with the great Tiger Woods coming back. And I just think, when you think about this, Big C, it's almost now who can get the most money for a white head coach. You talked about the gentleman that just left Houston.
Tom Herman.
And he didn't even give his players like 1 week of anything. He was out of Dodge that next day.
Charles, but he didn't even hold the press conference.
No.
He didn't hold the team meeting with the players. He's like, bye, see you later. You boys got me paid. That's basically what it said. You boys got me paid. You went out there, you busted your butt on the field. And think about it, Charlton. What type of resume does Tom Herman have? He spent 2 years coaching at the University of Houston.
Yeah.
2 years. That's not a resume. That's the same resume that Brock Osweiler had going to the Houston Texans, leaving Denver.
Yeah.
The same type of resume. You look good for a...
Go ahead, Big C. I think we're having a little bit of technical difficulty with your mic again, Big C, but we'll get you going still. But you talked about how the gentleman just up and left to the University of Houston, and now he's down there coaching. He's going to go coach at greener pastures down in Texas. And the thing that I don't like about that, Big C, is the fact that the players are still stuck in Houston. And they were talking about Ware being up for the Heisman Trophy. And what does he say now to Ware? He just says, bye, see ya? Is that what he does, Big C?
That's all he did. Greg Ward's going to be a junior.
Yeah.
He's a junior this year. He's going to be a senior next year. Going to be one of the top runners along with Lamar Jackson in that race for the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
But this is a player who helped develop this program, a multifaceted, dynamic quarterback who does it all. The team overall is not that strong, but when you have that one nucleus of a player, that's Greg Ward.
Yeah.
Comes out game in, game out, and exercises the game plan, Charlton, to perfection. But you walk away from a dynamic kid like this and, well, hey, you got me as far as you can get me. And that's basically what he was saying to Ware and the rest of the teams. You guys have made me a very rich man. I appreciate it. If I send you anything in the Christmas card, maybe I'll put a lump of coal in your stocking or whatever.
I'm sure.
I can care less about you guys. And see, Charlton, that's the thing that I have a problem with.
Yeah.
You made promises to parents. You made promises to young men, saying that I'm going to take care of your son for 4 to 5 years of college.
Yeah.
I'm going to be here to assure that he gets an education and that he's taken care of well. But in the middle of the night, like a thief, you sneak your butt out of town and go to a new girlfriend.
Yeah,
okay?
that's true.
Hey, so you go shag up somewhere else in the middle of the night. And these young men that have put their bodies and souls, kids have had surgery, Charlton. They've had injuries.
Yeah.
Some have lost their careers because they've had career-ending industry while playing under you. But you could care less because it's all about you. And I think the NCAA, this is a rightful rule that they need to put in place.
Yeah.
Just like they do the players. But as we've talked about before, Charlton, the players are slaves to the system, okay?
Yeah.
They are slaves to the system. A coach can leave in the middle of the night and start coaching the next day, okay?
Yeah.
A player cannot transfer from a university and play until the following year, Charlton. he has to sit out an entire season.
Yeah.
He loses a season of eligibility. Not that he gets richer, he loses that season of eligibility, Charlton. Why does not the NCAA do that to coaches? If you up and leave while you're under contract, why not put a year probation on that coach where he cannot coach?
Yeah.
He can be at the university, but he cannot be at the facility when the players are in, Charlton. That would only be fair.
Yeah.
You can't sit there and say a coach makes that much of a difference in an institution that you allow him to screw over players that he just left and let others benefit from it, Charlton, as well as him financially.
Well, Big C, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And speaking of agreeing with it, this segment is sponsored by the California Lottery. What can a buck do for you? I think there's some good old boys. You know, I was thinking maybe it was you, Big C, but I apologize for feeling a little bit envious, Big C. You know how sometimes your friends go out and they all want to go out to eat at the nice fancy restaurant, but when it's time to pay, they all left their wallet at home, Big C. But I thought maybe that's what happened. But they showed these people out of Tennessee and their co-workers, they're all deciding to put their face on TV. Why in the world would someone come into that kind of money in a state that's not one of the wealthier states in the United States, Big C, and now they want to show the whole world that they just became multi-millionaires and telling everybody where they live, where their kids live, where they go to school? That's a bit naive and a little bit reckless, Big C. Is that just because they drink too much moonshine, Big C? Or what? Why would you tell everybody you just made $25 or $15 million, Big C?
Well, Charlton, it's like what you said. You live in naivety where, you know, you live on the outside of the world, outside of what goes on, and you don't realize people out there trying to make victims out of people that have come into a quick Charlton.
It's weird.
And you'll find people coming out of the woodworks, out of the woodshed, you know, from the woodchuck's house, everything.
Yeah.
You know, but this is going to happen to people, Charlton. You'll have this happen. You'll find cousins and friends that you never knew that you had.
Yeah.
You know, they show up in every sob story that you can get, in every letter that you can receive. Unfortunately, there are people that live on hard times in this country, the greatest country in the world.
Yeah.
But there's too many people that live in impoverished and hard time situations.
Yeah.
Some be it of their own, and many not wanting to be in that situation, Charlton. But you should not put yourself in a situation which makes you vulnerable, where you broadcast what you have, and you've never had anything like that. You got to learn how to manage it first, Charlton.
Yeah.
And that's what these people are not used to doing. They're so jubilant in having this opportunity to instant fortune, is that they don't look at the long-term effects that it will have on their lives, Charlton.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I know something about Donald Trump, and he was saying, you know, Donald Trump again tried to buy the Buffalo Bills and own the New Jersey Generals, and he's our president-elect, but he was saying that he's helping to save jobs for Courier, and about 1,000 jobs there. At first, I think they were going to let 1,700 jobs go, and now he's talking on the phone and trying to make it known in the media that he called the CEO and said, what can we do to keep 1,000 jobs here? And the CEO told him, how about take that $100 million you invested in South America and invested in a company in the United States?
Let me elaborate on that a little bit more with Courier.
Yeah.
And that's in Indiana, isn't it?
I think they're in Indiana, yeah.
Okay, now who was the governor of Indiana?
I don't know the question of that right now.
Let me let you know who the governor of Indiana is. Vice President-elect Mike Pence.
Oh, okay. Good old boy, okay.
He's the governor of Indiana. So this was an inside deal, okay? This was a setup deal.
Yeah.
It wasn't that Donald Trump saved Courier air conditioning. What they did was made it tax-free for Courier air conditioning to operate. Now, Donald Trump is very renowned for saying, I'm not paying taxes. Now, what's going to happen to that city's revenue with Courier not paying taxes? Yes, you have a lot of people keeping jobs, but what's going to suffer when you get these corporations that you're giving these tax-free incentives to operate? What's the first thing that suffers, Dalton?
Infrastructure.
Of the city. Okay? What's the first level of infrastructure that suffers? Education, Charlton. So all of you sports fans out there that are listening, understand when he comes in saying that he's saving jobs, and now he's granting tax cuts to these corporations because they're keeping people here. Yes, you have a job, but will your child receive a quality education?
Right.
Will your police force be diminished? Will your fire department be cut back? The first thing that's affected by these things are the civil services that your tax dollars go into. Now, he'll cut the taxes for corporate.
Yeah.
But to cut the taxes for corporate jobs, you have to raise the taxes for private citizens. You can't cut everybody's taxes. So you cut it for corporate, and the private citizens will have to pay the taxes that the corporate is not paying.
Well,
so they need to understand that when he's cutting this deal, that it's twofold. The rich get richer, richer.
Yeah.
The poorer you keep a job, but you'll pay more to keep your job, Charles.
Well, see, that's all ironic because there's a lot of people talking about jobs all over the country and how they're going to replace robots with people, Big C, because everybody's gone automated now. And if you look at the automotive industry, there's a lot of assembly lines where everything is made by robots and computers. So I guess he's going to put those robots on hiatus and bring people back, Big C. I hope he can bring in jobs, but I just think it's so disingenuous.
Also, Charles,
yeah.
let me give you one more thing. The
Yeah.
parent company.
Yeah.
The parent company of Curry Air Conditioning. You know who their largest client is, Charlton?
Who's that?
They do some $5 billion a year in business with? It's the United States government, the Pentagon. Now, who's the new commander-in-chief?
Yeah.
Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Do you think that they want to lose that contract, that $5 billion contract? So keeping 1,000 jobs with Curry Air Conditioning is nothing.
Yeah.
When you talk about $5 billion being on the line, I'm going to give those jobs away. That's no big deal.
Yeah, you give them away. That's definitely for sure.
You can have that.
Well,
I want to keep the $5 billion contract.
Yeah.
You know, you can keep the 1,000 jobs there because those 1,000 jobs, Charlton, what do they pay? $2 million between those 1,000 jobs, maybe?
Yeah.
Get that? Maybe $1.25 million. Of all those employees, they make less than $2 million.
Yeah.
Now, you compare that $2 million business of paying employees versus losing a $5 billion contract. Charlton, that's a no-brainer.
That's a no-brainer, Big C.
The needs of the many dollars outweigh the needs of a few dollars, okay?
That's not how he sees things. But you do got to congratulate the man. He can say anything and people believe it, Big C. And it just, I mean, we'll have to see what happens. But obviously, if I'm telling you I'm going to bring in jobs in this country, well, first of all, what made you put the 100? I think he's in 28 different countries anyway, Big C. Not to say that he can't be, but he's one of the guys that he's talking about bringing jobs back to the country, Big C. He's the one who's taking work outside of the country to make a profit, Big C, and I just think that's disingenuous when you come at the American people that way.
This is a country that was set up by lead by example, okay?
Yeah.
So if the president-elect wants to lead by example, bring all those corporations that he's invested into the U.S.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the tariffs. Bring them into the U.S. Set up those plants here in the U.S., those clothing, those textiles, those steel, those oil companies that he's invested into, Charlton. Let him come into the U.S. and operate those businesses at the profit that he operates them in those foreign countries. It's about profit.
Yeah.
He's a businessman. It's about profit. So the American public needs to understand, to earn the profit that corporate America expects to earn, they're not going to earn it here in America. Granted, we're all Americans and we all want to work. We all want to have great jobs to provide for our families.
Yeah.
But you got to understand this little business called Wall Street, okay?
Yeah, I've heard of that.
little business called Wall Street.
Little small place where they do some commerce, I believe.
And it's a lot of people who are shareholders owning a piece of Wall Street, Charlton. And when you see these corporate 500 companies, Charlton, the corporate 1,000, and the corporate 500 are all traded on Wall Street. It's about making money.
Yeah.
It's not about keeping people in jobs. It's about where can we get the bottom line dollars the highest. And by going overseas to foreign countries, that's how they do that.
Yeah.
Yet there are Americans who are taking these jobs to foreign countries. It's not the foreigners, Charlton, coming to America taking the jobs away. And so that's what's been misconstrued. Saying we're going to kick all these illegal aliens out.
Yeah.
These illegal aliens come here because they can't get the jobs in their own country that you're funding their country and putting in industry. But you're putting in high-tech industry, Charlton, that the menial labor does not get involved into.
Well, I understand, but he knows how to make his money, Big C, and that's part of the good old boy system, and that, again, ties into college football. Everybody's so concerned with what school is going to be represented in the college football playoffs, but no one's concerned about how do we take care of these players. And I just wish it just wasn't Big C Sports that talked about how we're going to take care of these players. They're all treated like they're just cattle, like they're cattle up on a hill. And how many cattle can we go down the hill and make more produce, or how can we get more to send to the market, Big C? And I think that's a shame when I see most of them are kids that come out of inner cities or even rural area, Caucasian kids, and there's no talk about it.
Look at the wording that the big broadcast companies use, okay?
Yeah.
The quality of the product, the quality of talent.
Yeah.
What they're doing is they're rating players like they're cattle, like they're livestock.
Yeah.
Well, the quality over here is not as good as the quality there.
Yeah.
What they're doing is berating these young people, saying that they're not of standard. What is a standard? You're talking about student athlete. Why don't they scrap that label of student athlete?
Yeah.
Let's be realistic. Let's go out there and say the slave athlete.
Yeah.
Because this guy is out here working for free. And this is black and white. We're not just being, people think, they're being racist. No, this is black and white players out there for free.
White kids too? Yeah.
Busting their butt, not getting anything for it. Well, they're getting a free education. How the hell is your education free when you got to work 40 hours a week?
Yeah, that's funny.
Okay? You're working 40 hours a week. You go to work, okay?
Yeah.
All Americans who have a job go to work. The average work week is 40 hours a week. So you're saying you're getting a free job because, they let you come to work?
Yeah.
No, you want that paycheck at the end of the week or every 2 weeks when it comes.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's the same thing. You go into an employer, you're putting in 40 hours a week, just like a college football player. And you ask, how can he put in 40 hours a week? He does very easily. He puts in 40 hours a week. You think about the time on the practice field, which normally lasts around 3 hours. You got to do weight training. You got to do study hall. You got to do films.
Yeah.
All of that is incorporated into football. Oh, let's take out that little thing Charlton called travel time.
Yep.
When you got to leave town on a Friday to play a game on a Saturday, and some schools got to leave on Thursday, depending on geographically where they are.
Yeah.
So when you talk about, and that's a 24-hour scenario when you're gone. So how do you make up class? Oh, we bring tutors. You got 105 players on the team, okay?
Right.
How many damn tutors do you have?
Maybe one.
They're all not in the same class, Joe.
They have one, and because when you look at Alabama, they're going to play Florida. They're down there close, like this. They're going to be in Atlanta. Out here on the Pac-12, you have the Pac-12 championship. That's Colorado and the University of Washington, and they got to fly into San Francisco or San Jose to play at Levi Stadium. And the hotels and the air costs and the advertising and all the sponsorship and the concessions.
Well, we're talking, look at this.
Yeah.
All these conference championship games are being played this week, aren't they?
Yeah.
All the schools are going into these towns, if not today, by tomorrow, Thursday, at the latest, okay?
Yeah.
They're going to be in town because they have luncheons and press conferences and all of that. School just started back Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah.
At most colleges after the Thanksgiving break.
Yeah.
So these players are going to go an entire week without being in the classroom.
Yeah.
And you're saying that they're about their education?
Yeah.
No, it's about the university profiting from them not being able to attend full time. If you're a normal student, Charlton, and you miss as much class time as an athlete, you'll get put on the suspension list at school.
Yeah, you would.
Probation.
That's true.
And so an athlete, they say, well, they get privileges. No, they don't. They're being taken advantage of. They're losing valuable class time.
Yeah.
Anybody can be on a satellite campus. But being on a satellite campus, sitting at home on your computer is not the same as having that social interaction on campus. It was one of the greatest times of my life, being in college.
Yeah.
Because I saw all these people trying to accomplish the things that I was trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
And so when this is taken away from athletes when you're not there, and when you spend the amount of time, because when I was in college, 11 games was the standard, Charlton. That was it.
Yeah.
Okay, now you got to play 13 regular season games, and if you win your conference, you're up to 14.
Yeah.
And you make the playoffs. You think about this, Charlton. You make the playoffs. You're playing 16 games as a college athlete.
An NFL schedule, yeah. NFL
schedule. How much money does an NFL player make, and how much money does a college player make, Charlton?
And that's
what we're talking about.
And that's the egregious part about what happens, and we got to find a way to fix that. We can only fix it by talking about it. And speaking of talking about it, this segment is sponsored by United Labor, guaranteed $100,000 life insurance with no medical questions. We are also endorsed by the American Cancer Society and the American Heart Association. We work with all of the unions under the AFL-CIO, and we're trying to hire over 1,000 licensed insurance brokers because we simply want to put people back to work, and we're going to put them back to work inside the United States, unlike Donald Trump put them out to work outside of the country at Big C. We want to make sure that people know that if you're looking for work, you have a chance to find work with one of the best companies in America, and also with iHeartRadio. One of the things I love about iHeartRadio and Big C Sports is if you're thinking about business and you're thinking about advertising in sports, it all ties in with iHeartRadio and the iHeartRadio network and all the media companies throughout the country that are part of iHeartMedia. You'll find some of the top programming in the world. And what I love about that is we call it real talk. There's no teleprompters, there's no scripts, there's no one with a microphone in our ear. And I'm still wondering if any of our brethren are going to take the microphone, and take the producer's earplug out of the ear, shut off the teleprompters for just 1 week. It's not that scary. And let people do it extemporaneously. Let people do it freestyle. And I love bringing it to you on iHeartMedia. And we're expanding our network. And I thank everyone for following us. And I also want to, Big C, we just want to touch on a few more things about the world of college football because it's so egregious when I hear all the time who's going to be where and what team is going to get selected to play for free. I just wonder what would happen when players become conscious and realize how much control they really have. How many do you think are actually going to get the chance to play in the NFL that are a part of all Division I college football, Big C? What are your thoughts? Just a number.
Well, Charlton, when you think about it, there's only 200 new football players every year, between 180 and 200 new football players. And with those new football players that become professionals, that's an equal number of professionals who become unemployed, Charlton. So it's just a rotation. It's not adding new jobs, as the president-elect says he's going to do, is add new jobs.
Yeah.
Now, we were talking about the money differential and the games played if you make the championship game in college football. Now, if you're on the practice roster in the NFL, the minimum salary that you can make on the practice roster now in the NFL is an astonishing, Charlton, $353 just to practice.
Yeah.
Okay? Not playing a game. And you never have to get into a game, and you can make $353,000, Charlton, if you stay on the practice roster for the entire season.
Yeah.
That's the type of money we're talking about. Yet you have these college athletes, an entire team of players can't get that kind of money, and that's what it should be. It should be doled out. Yet there are different levels of college football, Charlton.
Yeah.
There's different levels of economics throughout life.
Yeah.
So it should be paid based on the compensation that the universities receive. Based on gate revenue, television revenue. That's how players should be paid. If you want to be Alabama, you want to be the top dog, you get TV games every week. You get $103,000, 103,000 people in the stadium every week. You got a parking lot full. You're selling every bit of team paraphernalia that you can. Then you should be able to take 5% of that money, Charlton, and
give it to the players.
And dole it out between the athletes.
Well, Big C,
5% of every university in America, 5% of their revenue that is generated through television, gate, concessions should be doled out to the athletes so that these athletes can enjoy life and not have problems, Charlton.
Well, see, that's part of the economic impact of these major bowl games. And unless someone brings it up, a lot of kids, they don't know any better because they just want to be able to put on the uniform and they're going to believe that they're going to be one of the few that are going to be chosen to play professional sports. We know it's going to be only about 1 or 2% that actually make it on a professional roster.
Even that high, Charlton, when you think about it, there's 123 Division I colleges, okay?
Yeah.
120, and each one of them average 100 players. They tell you there's 75 scholarship players. Each one of them average at least 100 players, Charlton.
Yeah.
So you got 123 times 100. What's that, 123,000 players, Charlton?
Yeah.
123,000 players. All right? Now, this 123,000 players, Charlton, let's be realistic. They're not going to play.
No, they're not.
When you got 200 out of that, we're not even talking 1% of college football. And that's just Division 1A, Charlton, the big boys.
Yeah.
We're not talking about Division 2, where Carson Wentz came from, and several other key players in the NFL have come from. Also Division 3, you get a player to sneak in there from time to time.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got these different levels that's coming into the NFL. So the lie has been told that, you're going to play in the league. We've seen many players, can't miss players, miss the opportunity to play in the NFL, Charlton. One slight injury will end the career. Let's go back a couple years ago. Great running back at the South Carolina.
Yeah.
Marcus Lattimore, okay?
Tore up his knee.
Number one high school recruit coming out of the country. The year before Davidian Clowney came to South Carolina.
Yeah.
Steve Spurrier had a coup. He blew out his knee twice, both knees, Charlton.
Yeah.
He was drafted by the 49ers, but he never played. Okay? He never played. That's what happened. Over a decade ago, about 20 years ago, Charlton, Marcus Dupree.
Out of Oklahoma, I believe. Out of Oklahoma. Yeah.
Out of Philadelphia, Mississippi. Can't miss. Hurt his knee in Southport College. Went to the pros early, the USFL. You may not remember that league that
Donald Trump defunct that league, too. I do remember that. Donald Trump remembers it, Big C.
Great businessman.
Yeah.
Okay? Challenged the wrong people.
That's funny.
And that league went defunct.
Well,
but he got injured again in that league, Charlton.
Yeah.
And his career was over. And everybody looked at these guys as Hall of Famers when they were in college. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Well, see, Big C.
Neil Sears, one of the greatest NFL running backs of all time.
Yeah.
Knee injury cut short his career.
Yeah.
So no one is guaranteed longevity in this sport. So if colleges emphasize education more than pumping the next great star, Charlton, then they would be doing something. But to do that, they would have to pay these players, Charlton, to show them that it's important to get an education and you can earn a living while you're getting an education.
It's even more important to get paid. There's a lot of people educated who are broke, Big C. If you have labor, you should get compensated for it. And I think one of the reasons that report came out that ESPN, their viewership is down and a lot of people aren't tuning into the sports leader anymore, I think because they have more choices like iHeartRadio, and they have people who are going to tell them the truth. Now, if you're an intelligent if you're just a dumb person, I understand you want to salivate over what team is going to play what team, but really deeper than that, how do you pay your bills, and how do you continue to exploit young people? I remember talking to a model. She had modeled actually for Playboy magazine, and she did a beautiful spread. And I mean, there's always money in that industry. There's some people who think, well, they're just being exploited. No, they're getting paid for their labor, getting paid for their talent. And I think a lot of the things that people miss that ESPN is, I say, guilty of, as well as even Fox Sports, is they don't have real talk. They don't talk about the elephant in the room, which is free compensation. And when you have more and more talk of, why don't we expand this bowl series? Because look at the money we'll make. Like, who is we? And who's going to be the engine in that vehicle, Big C? Yeah, it's almost like the guy at the market saying, how much more cattle can he get so he can sell it at the market? And I hope, and maybe it's going to take lawyers to get behind it, I know that, but I'm asking every parent, whether you're black or white, but primarily it's the African-American parents, that their kids have a harder time finding work even after they leave college than their white counterparts, and that's a fact. I hope that we can realize that if your kids are being exploited for their labor, it's just like you going to work and not getting paid. You're not volunteering. I don't see it. Even the great Kirk Herbstreit, who talks so much about college football, I mean, he has an education from Ohio State. You have a lot of people, even, Corso, he went to Florida State. He has an education. These guys have money. But most of the guys they get around, even Desmond Howard, they sit up and they talk about these great teams and these great players, but they leave the elephant in the room alone. They brag about how much these white coaches are going to make by exploiting these young black kids. Not one of them has the balls to even bring up what Jay Bills did about not paying kids is an antitrust violation. And I know you're down there in the good old state of Atlanta, of Georgia, and the Georgia has a lot of good football talent. However, there's never any talk about paying people. They're building a new football arena and a new baseball arena, I think, in the state of Georgia, just around Atlanta. But there's still no talk about how to get compensation to the engine that makes college football work, and that's primarily the black athlete, Big C. Last question I want to ask you about this before we get on some things about Tiger Woods. What will it take, in your opinion, for them to start having the same conversation that we're having, because their ratings are down when people realizing they're not talking about the truth, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, the biggest problem with ESPN, Charles, is they've gotten rid of all the talent for looks, okay?
Yeah.
The people who are knowledgeable with ESPN, who you've grown up with on ESPN over the years, they can explain something to you. They were like family members. They were like that uncle that showed up. They would never shut up.
Yeah.
He knew everything. You heard from him every time he came to the house,
yeah.
Okay? And that's what you have with ESPN. But ESPN now, Charlton, has gotten into this pretty scenario.
Yeah.
Let me get the pretty people on TV. I don't turn on a game because somebody's pretty, because I can put a mirror in front of me while I'm watching.
Yeah.
Okay? I can do that.
It took me a while to get that, Big C. It went over my head the first time, but now I get it, okay? You're pretty, Big C. Remember, everything goes in California, okay? Just so you know.
but that's what I turn into a sports show for, Charlton.
Yeah.
I turn into a live sporting event. I want somebody who is knowledgeable, not trying to see what base of makeup that I should wear.
Yeah.
Not what hairstylist I should use, how much mousse I should use on my hair, Charlton.
Yeah.
How tight is my skirt?
Yeah.
Because you're detracting from what the program is all about, because you're making it about you, not about the content that you're supposed to give to the listener and the viewer.
Well,
America's too intelligent sports-wise to be dumbed down.
Yeah.
They said that the NFL dumbed down for Dak Prescott. The ESPN is basically lowered the standards of broadcast excellence on their program, because they're all about looks now. They've gotten rid of some of the greatest female broadcasters, Charlton, because they said they were too old. They were in their 50s. And these women were knowledge. They were veterans of the games of the sports. They could talk with the men because they knew the game.
Yeah.
They didn't have to read a prompter all the time. They had relationship with coaches and players that they had developed over the years.
Yeah.
And ESPN felt that wasn't a value anymore. It was about a fashion statement that they wanted to make.
And
the fan cares about what you give them.
And you know,
Madden was not pretty.
Yeah.
You look at the guy who does college football for CBS, Vern Lindquist.
Yeah.
He is not a pretty man.
Okay.
You see him on the SEC championship game.
Yeah.
But they bring knowledge to the game,
Yeah.
Charles.
Yeah.
Pat Summerall prior to his passing.
Yeah.
Nothing but knowledge was brought to the game to the listener.
Yeah.
They explained it to you. You felt like they were family that you could listen to all the time. Now the guys are on, and you don't know what they're talking about half the time.
Well, Big C, I think there's something that I really enjoy when I watch Network, and I really love the NFL Network. I saw the great Michael Irvin, Hall of Famer for the Dallas Cowboys receiver, and when he talks from the heart. It's not he's talking, and I feel like he's talking to me, and he's telling me what he sees as an athlete, and he breaks it down from an athlete's point of view. When I contrast that to a guy reading a teleprompter, it's what I'm seeing on ESPN. I love listening to it because I feel like he's talking to me and not reading to me. And I think the NFL Network has really they're headed in the right direction because they let people tell their own personal stories. Another thing that I enjoy is when you watch TNT with Charles Barkley and Kennedy Jet Smith and also Shaq. They have personality, and they breathe their personality. It's not like they're trying to keep up with the pace of the teleprompter. So I think maybe when more sports teams get to that point, I think it'll bring a lot more, maybe juice back to the business. And speaking of juice, this segment is sponsored by One Life America Life Insurance. We're the leaders in the country when it comes to final expense. I'm a broker with One Life America, and we're also looking to employ over 1,000 licensed insurance brokers because we simply want to put people back to work. And Big C, in our final segment, when it comes to putting people back to work, Tiger Woods, the great Tiger Woods, and I hope he's healthy. I actually pulled a back muscle today, and I couldn't get up for about 2 hours. So when people say, oh, he's just making an excuse because he lost his swing, if you pull a back muscle, sometimes it does drop you to the ground. I felt like I was hit by Mike Tyson, Big C. It hurt so bad. But I manned up and I got on the show anyway, Big C, just so you good old boys know, okay? Tiger Woods, after having the injuries and having some issues changing his golf swing, I hope that he comes back and plays well enough to at least break the record in majors. We know he's stuck at 14 majors, and being stuck at 14 majors, he had some back issues and also some issues with his knee. I want to get your thoughts. I think he was out golfing recently, and he did pretty well, Big C. What will Tiger Woods coming back mean? We talk about TV ratings. What will he mean to the business world of TV ratings as an African-American golfer out there in the golf courses? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, Tiger went out today and shot a 270 for a round of 18 holes, Charlton.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods' meaning to golf is golf. Golf is lackluster without Tiger Woods. Win, lose, or draw. When Tiger's there, the ratings are up, the entries are up.
Yeah.
Tiger got more people playing golf in America over the last 20 years than anybody. There's a lot of young, great golfers out there in the world today, Charlton, and Tiger Woods inspires them. They all want an opportunity to be on Sunday facing Tiger.
Yeah.
To be able to have a chance to beat Tiger because you know you've arrived. They beat the guys that are out on the tour now, and they know, hey, I just beat some also ran. But to have an opportunity to go against Tiger, whether he was at the pinnacle of his game or at his game where it is now, he's still Tiger Woods, the image. And you think about the great Muhammad Ali at the latter part of his career. He was still Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Even though his tools had diminished, Charlton, he was still Muhammad Ali, and that's what carried and inspired other boxers to be around him. You look at any great athlete, even Peyton Manning that retired at the end of last season, Charlton. Yeah. He was still Peyton Manning. He was the driving force and the stature of what a quarterback wanted to be, to play at that level of Peyton Manning. All he was a consistent winner and a consistent performer. And
all the time.
That's what you get with Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
You get the fanfare. Everybody wants to see him. They want to see him on the course. They want to see him at the driving range. Nike sales go up in golf every time he's around. Matter of fact, Nike made a golf division just because of Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
He was the driving force in a clothing line.
Yeah, Phil Knight knows all about marketing and how to get certain athletes to wear your product. And I just think when you look at the world of sports, and we talk about the impact of the sports industry and how especially college football has gone from a multi-million-dollar industry when it comes to sports to a multi-billion-dollar industry since the implementation of the African-American athlete. And I just hate to see the fact that these kids are brought in without being paid. How does that equate to Tiger Woods? Tiger Woods gets paid for everything he does. He gets paid for his talent. Could you imagine, even as an amateur, when he was down at the University of Stafford over in the Bay Area, he could go out and golf and compete with the best of them, Big C. When he turned pro, he was able to make money and make millions of dollars. The difference between a golfer and a football team, entire football team, is that golfer is one individual person. And you have these football players. A lot of teams carry about 100 athletes, whether it's 65 to 100 plus or more, Big C. And it's just that whole gathering of people and TV revenue and sponsorship worldwide that will pay for this free talent. And I think we contrast Tiger Woods and the African-American athlete in college, and we see what money does for people. It changes your life. It helps people to get paid for your labor. I hope that in the final few minutes of the program that we can have a national dialogue for all of the people that refuse to put down the teleprompters, for all of the people that refuse to take the earplug or the producer's plug out of their ear. Have a consciousness about what we're doing to these young kids, primarily young black American boys, that are going to go out and play good football to make white institutions wealthier, and all they get is a pat on the back, a hat, and a T-shirt, Big C. Maybe they get a jersey that they get to keep also. I just think it's exploitation at the highest level, and as long as it remains the top athletes are African-American, there won't be any talk about how do we fix this problem when these white universities, the presidents and the coaches are the ones laughing all the way to the bank, Big C. It should be ashamed of himself for leaving Houston the way he did. On one night's notice, he took off, Big C, with a few $1 million in his pocket, and those young black boys got nothing to show for it, and the white ones too. I think that's a shame. And again, one more thing on Tiger Woods, and anything that he can do to make the world of golf more inclusive, Big C, not only for African Americans, but for women. I think he's opened so many doors. Him coming back onto the scene, I think is great for sports. It's also great for revenue, Big C. Just again, your thoughts on the great Tiger Woods.
Well, Tiger, Dalton, is that draw factor. He's down in the Bahamas this week in an 18-player tournament, so no one misses the cut. But that's great for Tiger because it allows him to be competitive for 4 rounds, Charlton. Whether he wins or whether he comes in 18th place, he will finish the tournament. And that's what the golf world wants to see. Yeah. You're going to see the huge galleries following Tiger around the next major tournament that he plays in. And golf wants that, Charlton. Golf wants Tiger more than Tiger wants golf. People keep talking about that Tiger's washed up, but they keep pulling the money out of their pocket whenever he shows it.
He's
not too washed up. He's the major draw for the PGA. Charlton, even not playing, he's the major draw for the PGA. Yeah. So when you think about the impact that Albert Tiger Woods has had through his 2 decades of playing in the PGA, Charlton, it's enormous. Yeah. More than anybody in the history of golf had ever produced. Jack Nicholson, Arnold Palmer, Trevino, great golfers in their own right, Charlton, in their own era. Yeah. But what Tiger Woods elevated the game of professional golf to, Charlton, has just been astonishing. It never equaled at any other time in the world. When you think about all of these guys that were supposed to take over after Tiger's demise in the game, after he was no longer on the pinnacle, no one has been able to hold the torch or the crowds like Tiger Woods. McIlroy, Johnson, all of these guys, Charlton, they'll win a tournament here and there, but they don't have the fanfare, the charisma of a Tiger Woods. And that's something that's unique. And you can say, well, he's an African-American athlete. Regardless of what nationality he is, Tiger Woods has just been a great ambassador for the sport, for the United States, and for people in general, Charlton.
Well, I think that's so true, Big C. And when you look at anything, I just love bringing up the elephant in the room where people don't talk about it. I remember having some conversations with some people in broadcast, and again, this is when I was working with CBS in one of the production trucks, and I was usually the only African-American there, and they had production of quite a few people in the production truck, Big C, and even having the meetings, and I thought, my goodness, outside of the athletes, there really aren't many African-Americans involved in the highest watched sporting event in the United States, and that's the Super Bowl. And now things are changing a little bit. I'm going back 20 years, Big C, but it comes about because people talk about it, and that's what I love about Charlton and Big C Sports. We don't have the multi-million-dollar producers and all their documentation, but we do have the best media network, and I like having real talk. And I remember just running across people covering MMA fights, and all of these guys want to be the next, Conor McGregor. They want to meet Dana White, who bought it for $2 million, and now he's worth $4 billion, Big C, with the UFC. And there'll be a fight coming up in Sacramento that I'm going to be covering on the 17th. And I look forward to that. But what I love about what we're doing with Big C Sports, and you brought this to my mind, Big C, we actually created this ourselves. We didn't go to someone and hope that they would return a resume. We didn't go to someone and hope that they'd give us a tryout. We have as much talent as anybody else in the world when it comes to broadcast. And I encourage every person, if you think you have what it takes, go get yourself a microphone, go get yourself some equipment, and start broadcasting programs. Start broadcasting shows, start broadcasting events. Don't wait for anyone to give you anything, because just like that college football player, and they're going to be all over the sidelines at the national championships, they think they're going to make it pro. They're not going to make it. They're going to have to go out and do something on their own. That's what I love about Big C Sports, because we talk about that. We talk about money. We talk about politics. We talk about sports and social issues and Hollywood stars, because it's all real. So if you have a dream, believe in your dream. Believe in making it happen. But you got to be responsible for it 100%. Nobody's going to give you anything in this world. You got to go earn it. Big C, as I let you close out, what should people do, in your opinion, to go out and create their own sports program, be the best they can be, and stop waiting for someone to give them something? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Jonathan, I think it's beyond just being pretty and being able to read a prompter or a script. The thing about it is that you have to be versed in what you do. You have to be in depth. You have to know the games. You have to know the players. You have to know the nuances of it, Charlton, because as a listener to any sports program, you want to have your visual or your verbal enhanced from the person that you're listening to or watching, Charlton. That's what it's all about. You know, you want to learn. You just don't want to be listening. You want to learn. You want to walk away from a program and say, hey, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
It's not the same program that I saw on the other channel or I heard on the other channel. This was insightful. And that's your responsibility as a broadcaster, Charlton, is to be insightful to the listening and viewing audience. Not just be a talking head from a piece of paper or a teleprompter, but know about the individuals, Charlton. That's what you have to be, and that's what we're not getting any longer. And when we talked about the networks going young, bringing in these young kids because they were pretty, because they were model-looking, male and female. They had the right haircut. They didn't have any lines on their face, Charlton, from aging. That's the process of life, Charlton. ESPN grew up from a fledgling network. It's older. It has some lines in it, Charlton. But those broadcasters that made ESPN great, Charlton, are gone. They're gone. And now you got the next pretty face that's up saying, hey, this is what the audience want to see. No, I don't. If I want to see a tight skirt or a pretty face, I watch the cheerleaders on the sideline at the game. That's what I'm saying. And I'm not being sexist.
No, I understand it. Well, a lot of the men. I remember the gentleman for, I think it was Villanova. They were talking about how much he paid for his suit. I thought it was egregious saying that the coach for Villanova was wearing $2,500 suit, and the kids can't even have a steak dinner. Big C, I thought that was egregious, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. At some point in time, you got to be responsible for whatever you do in your own life and go make your own dreams come true. Just like I think we heard the great Walt Disney say, and don't beat me up, but when you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are, and anything your heart desires will come to you, Big C. I think that's what we want to tell the world, and we tell you every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, worldwide on the iHeartRadio network. Follow Charlton and Big C Sports as they bring you big talk. And also, this segment was sponsored by BeneathHisWingsFoundation.org and CYNN Entertainment. When it comes to entertainment, Cynthia Evans is the best in Northern California. But everybody, go out and make your dreams come true. And we always tell you there's never any tolerance for domestic violence. No woman should ever have to go through any garbage on her own. If you see anyone in trouble, just call 911. And as we always tell you, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.